Good afternoon, viewers. For all those who have logged in from different parts of the world, as per records, we have insurance sector professionals, corporate secretaries, members, students, and participants from district walks of life. I welcome you all to experience a very interesting conversation with plenty of insights on the insurance sector. From our guest this afternoon, Mr. Manoj Jain, who's MD Shriram Life Insurance. We'll be happy to take questions from viewers who can put their questions in the chat, and we will take these questions one by one. Today's topic is changing landscape of life insurance sector in India. A well-developed insurance sector acts as the backbone of a nation, as it supports the citizens even in unforeseen events. It not only helps consumers by providing financial protection, but also contributes to the nation's economy. There is a significant relationship between insurance penetration and macroeconomic development. I'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about it when we progress. Vis-a-vis growth in the country. Well, the industry has made several strides, big strides in terms of digitalization. COVID-19 encouraged and accelerated this journey on a faster track. The sector has seen many changes due to changing consumer preferences, government regulations, product innovations, new distribution channels such as life insurance. So there's plenty of things are happening, and one interesting thing which I would like to share with the viewers, which is India accounts for nearly 2% of the world's total insurance premium, indicating that the potential of growth is immense for the sector, and that is what we are seeing. And we'll have more insights as we go along. Insights from our guest today, Mr. Manoj Jain. To understand all these aspects in detail, we have our guest. I would just like to introduce Mr. Manoj Jain, who is Managing Director of Life Insurance Company Limited, and is also partner in Shriram Group of Companies. He comes with a very, very rich experience of 31 years. He is varied in financial services domain and over 20 years in life insurance industry. He is a highly accomplished person, and one of his major outstanding accomplishments, which I would like to mention here, is that during his stint as CEO at Shriram Life, he transformed the company pan-India with a consistent growth of 20% CAGR and against industry growth of 10%, which is highly commendable. I would also, not stop myself in mentioning some of his recent accolades, which are very, very interesting. One is he has been chosen as a world leader, a business person award by World Confederation of Business in Amsterdam as latest as 2019. He's also been chosen as CEO of the Year at ABP News Banking, Financial Services and Insurance Awards for 3 consecutive years, which is 2015, 16 and 18. He's also awarded as the top 100 most influential people in BFSI sector by World BFSI Congress in 2018. He's also got Excellence Award in Business Leadership Award by World Confederation of Business Washington DC in 2016. There's a long list, which if I take will take a lot of time to talk about Mr. Jain, and I kind of want to wait to listen to him because there's so much which we would like to. We are eager to listen from Mr. Jain. So before we start, sir, I would like to just start with my first question to you. Is that a well-developed insurance sector acts as a backbone of a nation, as we mentioned that it supports the citizens even in the unforeseen events which were seen due to COVID-19. It not only helps consumers by providing financial protection, but also contributes to the nation's economy. So it plays a very critical role in the nation's economy. What has been the impact of COVID-19 on the life insurance sector? That's what we'd like to
do. MT, thank you, Mr. Ashish, for providing me the opportunity to speak to the audience. I know this is being globally telecasted, so I can say just hi to all my young viewers across the globe. The question which you put it up, that yes, life insurance sector or insurance sector is a very critical sector for any economy. because it's more like a bank backbone, like a banking, insurance, and the financial services. And as you rightly said, that insurance provide a big support in nation building. And India, the population and the penetration, India contributes only 2% of the global premium, where the population of India is almost as high as 20% of the world population. So you can just see the potential is huge. Uh, with regard to your question that how COVID has impacted this industry, I think COVID impact has started in India in the last 15 days of March. And you know, in India, the March is a very special month when it comes on insurance, because historically and even now also, in India, people buy insurance, particularly life insurance, more as a tax saving instrument. So it's very irony that 50% of the business comes in January, February, and March, and within that 50%, close to around 30% comes alone in March, and in that 30%, 20% comes alone in the last 10 days. So last 15 days got impacted by COVID, and as a result of that, the industry, which is growing almost by 15%, last year the industry was just flat, because the cream 15 days has just gone in the COVID. April was completely washed away month, but from May, there's a sharp recovery has happened, and I can just say, end of September, the industry numbers are already there. In life insurance, we have just a cumulative degrowth of around 5%, but when it comes on health insurance, it has grown by 25%. The general insurance industry has grown by 5%, and there's a huge demand is coming now for a term plan. So while in COVID, the industry like hospitality, travel, tourism, hoteling, they all got impacted very, very badly. But life insurance, as I said, was impacted for 45 or 60 days, and then there's a sharp recovery. And if everything goes well, I think this year, maybe in next 1 or 2 months, the industry will be on track.
Right, sir. So as you were mentioning, sir, like, the several industries are impacted very badly, whether it's hospitality, aviation, entertainment. But there are some industries who have done well, like pharma, telecom, and FMCG, and others doing well. Now, this unprecedented situation, which due to the pandemic has put lives, and business under of this. Nobody had ever, imagined about the magnitude of this COVID. So, how does the insurance industry look forward to mitigate such risk and look at the risk assessment from a fresh perspective? Because it is certain things which are unforeseen. Nobody knows that what is going to happen, something going to happen. So how do we mitigate such risk in future and and do the risk assessment from a fresh perspective?
See, insurance is all about managing risk. We are in the business of risk. At best, we can only mitigate the risk. But I think all these, whether it's COVID or any sort of pandemics, are already factored in the pricing of any insurance company. So just for the viewers, I can just say that all insurance policies which are sold by a life insurance company in India are covered for COVID also. It's not that we were knowing that COVID is going to come, but everything is covered in the pricing, and that's what we call it, that you take insurance and you will be away from your tensions. But unfortunately in India, the awareness on insurance is very, very poor, very, very low. This COVID has given a huge opportunity and huge visibility, and there is a need. Now the people are coming and saying, oh, we don't have a life insurance, we need to buy it. So coming to your question, I think this COVID period has given an opportunity. As I said, there is a huge surge in the demand of health insurance. People are buying now health insurance. They are aware that if they don't have a policy, how the family will be vulnerable. Especially in COVID, if the COVID comes to one family member, the whole family gets suffered. And the industry and the regulator, particularly in India, is very, very proactive. And I think within a record time of just 30 days, industry has come together and launch even the special COVID policies also. A customer can buy a COVID plan, which is available for 6.5 months to 9 months on a very, very nominal premium amount. Even today also, if I don't know whether you all have seen the newspaper, the regulator has come with a Saral Bima Yojana, a common insurance policy which can be bought by any individual across life insurance company, these plans can be bought. So when it comes on mitigating this risk will be there, but it is already factored in the pricing. So I don't see any reason that there is a reason for panic, because whatever the premium the consumer is paying, it's already there in the price, and all the claims are getting settled on time. And we generally say insurance is a business which is a very, very long lasting. There are companies who are selling insurance policy for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And insurance company takes care of all risk and eventualities. And there is a well-established reinsurance market is also available in the country. So from that angle, the health of all insurance companies are in a very good shape. Just to give a perspective to everybody, in India, we have close to around 57 insurance companies working, 24 life insurance company, and the balance 33 are general insurance company. Last year, the total premium collected by the industry, and I'm talking about only life insurance, is around 7.31 lakh crore. That's the premium which is being collected, and in that the first year premium is around 2.5 lakh crore. And the total fund which is managed by the life insurance industry alone is around 40 lakh crore. So this industry is huge, although there's a large potential. As I said, the market is really untapped, and there's a huge potential. Knowing the fact that in last 20 years, the industry has grown with a CAGR of around 10%, and in next 10 to 15 years also, I think same trend will continue.
So going back to, you are also partner to different Shriram Group company. How does it has impacted, being the group company, how does it have impacted the employees, other people regarding this COVID-19? I'd like to know more about the group per se. Yeah.
Okay. I think just to give a perspective, Shriram Group is 4.5 decade old group. Our DNA comes from a truck financing. We are having one of our group companies, Shriram Transport, is the largest truck finance company of India. We are the market leader in used vehicle finance. Every second vehicle on the road is funded by Shriram Transport. And our DNA is we want to serve the unserved population. So common man, if you see our logo, the logo represents a common man who's saying the sky is the limit. So that's the vision which our founder chairman, Mr. Tyagarajan, has envisaged 45 years back, because getting finance, even now also for a common man, is not all that easy. So we are having the largest truck finance company. We are having another company which is our largest SME finance company and a two-wheeler finance company. In insurance business, we are around 15-year-old, and probably this is the only company which is making profit from year one. And as I said, that our focus is the common man. So our penetration, our distribution, our reach is in tier 3 and tier 4 town. Rather, every second policy which we sell is a rural policy. So that's what is the DNA of the group. And just to give a perspective, we have close to around 80,000 employees working in the company, in the entire group, and we have close to around 10,000 branches across India. So we are no longer a south-based company. We are a pan-India footprint, primarily in the rural tier 3 and tier 4 town, and primarily serving the unserved customer. That's what is the DNA of the group.
Very interesting, sir. Like as you said that the DNA is reaching out to the common man, and it's very interesting because this is something which is very important for financial inclusion, and a lot of government policies and everything have been done to reach out to the common man. You also have 10 branches, and as you said that you are pan India, and no longer confined to south and move to various parts of the country. One interesting thing which which comes to my mind is that we're talking about reaching to the common man at tier 2 and tier 3 or tier 4 city. Now, there has been a lot of digital disruption, rather I would say digital addiction, which is changing trends in Indian insurance sector. How is Shriram Group, which is conglomerate of different business, dealing with such digital transformation? Because as you move to the rural or new tier 3 or 4 cities, there may be challenges regarding getting internet connectivity and things so on and so forth. How does your company deal with it?
I think that's a very relevant question in the current scenario. I think we realized this a need of moving to the digital platform maybe a 5 year back. So the digital transformation in the entire group, we have started started from 2016, 2017 onward, and I'm very happy to say that in last 5 months, we must have sold close to around 20,000 life insurance policies. We have sold completely on a digital platform, completely paperless. Thanks to the regulator that they have even agreed for a digital signature on the proposal form. So we have done completely paperless. Rather, I'm very happy to share that 3 years back we started a channel called Phygital channel. Why I'm using word Phygital? Because in India, even though there's a huge platform available that you can buy life insurance policies across the counter, there are so many platforms are there are so many web aggregators are there where you can get an insurance policy on a click of button. But my experience says insurance or financial services, the trust is very important, especially when the customer is looking for a claim. The insurance company should be around, and historically in India or worldwide from that matter, insurance is always sold, people have not bought. So you require somebody who can give a touch and feel. So when the customer is accessing online, but they expect that somebody should come and explain as well. So the Phygital channel which I'm talking about is, the entire thing is digital there, from proposal form to policy to everything, but there is an agent is attached, he can go and explain to the customer. So not us, I think the entire industry has come a long way on digitalization, and even the Indian customer, especially even tier 3, tier 4 town, just to give you a tip, we have a total book size of around 6 lakhs policies. So on number of policies, we are among the top 10 insurance company in India, and as high as 60% of the customers are paying premium through online or digital mode. So the digital transformation has gone much more faster in rural India than the urban India. So the customer is fully aware. There are various platforms are there. They can go to Paytm, pay their premium. They can go to Google Pay, they can pay their premium. They can go to net banking. They can have a NACH mandate. So as high as around 60% of my customers are paying a premium through digital mode. And as I said, in last 6 months, almost around 80 to 90% policies we have sold digitally. When I'm saying sold digitally means the processing is done digitally, but then there's an amount of element of advice is there. Because unless that is not there, the customer doesn't get that comfort. So that's on the digital side, but we have a long way to go. Although in our company we have started using something called artificial intelligence, data mining, all that is happening. But then, as I said, it will take a little more longer time because insurance per se is more a push product. Somebody has to go and talk, because I think the normal Indian, a common man in India, thinks that nothing is going to happen to me. It's only going to happen to my neighbors or my relatives. So somebody has to come and explain him why he should buy insurance. Why the sudden demand of insurance has come? Because now people are seeing, people are dying due to COVID, and when the families are checking, they don't have a sufficient life insurance cover. So people buy insurance out of fear as well. The only challenge which is there in the industry is awareness, and awareness.
Very interesting, sir. And as you said, I mean, it's a news or something which, we are very excited to know that 60% of the policies have been brought online. And that is not something which I wanted to ask you. Like, although most insurance customers in India still prefer to purchase through an intermediary, agent, bank, or a broker. Because they are their family. Sir.
Let me just correct you. 60% of policies are not bought online. Processing is done online.
That's much.
Yeah. So still large portion of policies, as high as 90% of the policies are getting sold offline.
Right.
Online selling requires a long way to go. So a personal feel and touch, either through bank assurance or through individual agents or through branches. But a lot of customers are checking online, buying offline.
Yeah, because as you mentioned earlier also, talking about digital, and I also have seen about my relatives that we normally buy insurance policies because there's a trust of, element of trust involved. And these are the people who are known to us, their family, friends, and they attend all our functions and things like that. And that is, and we blindly basically follow, what they tell us. So very, very interesting, which you said is about the digital part. So in that scenario, what is the evolution of digital sales and service offering? Because important is that the customer should be satisfied. They should be, they have trust. Now, how things are changing due to COVID, and it's more of a digital thing.
See, as I said, the inquiry level, which was hardly 5%, that has gone up. But still, as high as 90 to 95% policies are getting sold offline. Because the customer doesn't get that type of satisfaction through online, although all the comparisons are there, all that are there. Other thing is, as I said, the awareness. Customer himself is not aware what type of policy will suit him, what is his requirement, whether term plan is fine for him, or he is looking for money back, or he is looking for endowment policies, or whether he want a pension plan. So somebody has to go and advise. We call something called need analysis. We go and meet the customer and do his financial health checkup and check actually what is his requirement, what he is looking for, at what age he is, what is his liabilities, what income he is drawing, because there's something called human life value. Each each individual is having a different human life value. There is a labor in a factory, his insurance requirement is different. There's a manager in the factory, his insurance requirement is different. There's an owner in the factory, his insurance requirement is different. So each one has to be on something called human life value. And then based on that and based on his age, we suggest that, look, this is what is a ideally cover you should have. Generally, we recommend that an individual should have at least 20 times of his income as an insurance, a life insurance. So that if anything happens to him, the family will get that money, and if the family puts that money into a safe, even bank deposit, the interest will give that type of income to the family, so that yes, emotional loss nobody can make, nobody can fulfill that emotional loss, but the financial loss an insurance policy can do it. So just to make it simple, if a salary of an individual is say around 5 lakh rupees per annum, ideally he should have a cover of around 1 crore of rupees. That's a thumb rule. I know in India only 2% or 3% is a penetration. So we have large number of customers who doesn't have insurance, and we have large number of customers who are having insurance but they don't have sufficient insurance. When I'm saying sufficient insurance, just to give more simple example, somebody is driving a Mercedes and having an insurance of Maruti. A Mercedes is costing say 30 lakhs and he's having an insurance of 3 lakhs, which is a Maruti. Now tomorrow if that vehicle meets with an accident, same with the individual should have a cover of 3 crore and he's saying no, I have a policy, but then he's having 30 lakhs policy. So there that human life value comes in place and lot of awareness has gone, but as I said, we have still a long way to go.
Yeah, in fact, my next question was related to this only, which you have mentioned. It's a very interesting thing. You also mentioned about artificial intelligence and data analytics. So what I wanted to ask you is, like, data drives more highly targeted marketing and sales approaches. So they are very targeted marketing sales approaches when we talk about data analytics and artificial intelligence. How much you earn won't determine your worth anymore. I mean, as you rightly said, now not for sure, insurance companies anyway. They are now using data analytics and AI to suggest a policy based on the service or device that you're using. For example, if I'm using an iPhone, if I log in through an iPhone, the insurance will direct you towards the premium policies, which are of higher value. So this is something which I was little curious to know. How does it, data analytics or artificial intelligence take care of that? That, as you mentioned about the example of Maruti. And
see, both. There are various insurance companies. There are some insurance companies who are using data analytics and artificial intelligence for the prospecting new customers. But there are large number of insurance companies currently using these two tools on their existing customer base. Whether somebody who has bought a policy, what is the propensity that customer will renew this policy and continue this policy for next 10 years or next 15 years? Because the other challenge, particularly in India, is there's a huge lapsation happens. People do buy policies, but as high as 30% policy get lapsed at the end of first year. At the end of fifth year, only 40 to 45% policies are only in the books. What does this mean? The customer has taken an insurance, and when he is really looking for an insurance company, by that time you realize that the policy is already in lapse. And day in, day out, we are getting claims, intimation, and when we go and check, the customer has taken a policy, but then he has not renewed it. So a lot of work insurance companies are doing in educating the customer that why insurance and why he should continue. Once he has bought an insurance policy, he should pay. And then we are using all this data, whatever we have of existing customer, that how we can use this just to drive that, yes, if we have sold a particular insurance policy in a particular market segment, what are the chances of getting the renewal? There are some companies, including us, have started using even for sourcing new business. But as I said, the online currently is around 5 to 8% of the overall business. So lead generation and all that happens, but then we give those leads to our agents or intermediaries, and they go and meet the customer, because somewhere the customer feels that he don't need life insurance. Somebody has to come and push him. It's not like that bank fixed deposit, that I have some money lying in my saving account and I feel, oh, let me just do a fixed deposit. Not like general insurance, because the car which I have, I cannot drive on the road without even one day without insurance. And I always say whether the car is important or the person who's driving the car is important. But unfortunately, people insure their car, but the person who's driving the car is uninsured or less insured.
Yes, sir. So my other next question is related to this only. I know that, like you're talking about that in the first year, 30% of policies get lapsed. So what is the emerging trend in consumer preferences in life insurance in India? I mean, there has been a paradigm shift in consumer perspective. It is said that now it is no longer a product. It is more of a customer experience which the consumers are looking for. And I also have read, that many a times, like, when people used to buy life insurance earlier just for the sake of tax planning and tax saving. And they were not aware of the various, what you call features and benefits of insurance policy. And now they're also talking about, इससे हमें तो कुछ मिलना नहीं है because, it will only benefit the family, will not get. So they're also looking at an investment angle into it. That, if we, you have endowment policy, where, if people survive, they get back that money with certain bonuses and things like that. So what is the, emerging trend now? And why I'm asking this, sir, it's very important because I know that Shriram had won life. Shriram Life had won the CI Award for Customer Obsession Award in 2019. So I mean, you know the customer more than anybody else, for that matter.
Okay, fine. I think a very interesting and a very good question. I can just divide into two. See, India itself is a very, very diversified country. Generally, we say that one is India, other is Bharat. Now, if you see the demographic of India, we have a population of say 1.3, 130 crore. If you see, we have close to around 40 crore household. Now, in 40 crore household, we have close to around, maybe around 3 crore household, roughly a population around 15 crore, which we call a poor segment. They are fighting for their basic needs. For them, I don't think insurance companies can do anything at this stage because for them, they are looking for the basic needs. Then the second segment comes where there's a chunk of around close to around 12 crore household. Their income is ranging from 1.5 lakhs to around 4 or 5 lakh rupees. We generally call that as a middle, the common middle or middle class families. That is a huge segment, 12 crore. Now, in that segment is what Shriram is working. Now, in that segment, if you see, there is a need for insurance because in the entire family, there's only person who's earning, and if anything happens, and this is the segment where a lot of aspirations are also there. So not only they earn, they have a plan to buy house, they have a plan to send their kids for education, they take even loans also. Now in that segment, we primarily focus, and the third segment comes, which we call it maybe HNI, where income is ranging from 10 to say 25 lakhs. Now that's a segment where it's a very small market. And the fourth segment comes maybe a rich or super rich. Now the above two segments, Shriram is not at all looking, because we know there are the people, they have enough money, they don't know what to do. So most of these customers are having the bank accounts in large private sector banks, and then they buy insurance from there. So our focus is on this 12 crore household, which is a huge market and it's completely untapped. And there we are looking, even the initiative which IRD has announced today, Saral Bima Yojana. Even before that, Government of India announced 2 or 3 schemes, which was aimed for middle class and the lower middle class. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana. I don't know how many of the viewers are aware that the Government of India has designed in 2014 and made it compulsory for all insurance companies to sell insurance where the cover is of 2 lakhs and the premium is only 1 rupee per day. So you end up in paying even less than 1 rupee, you end up in paying 330 rupees in a year. And if anything happens, 2 lakh rupees cover is there. Only thing what is required, you should have a bank account, because the intermediary cost is almost negligible in that. So customer has to have a bank account, and he can just give a standing instruction. The bank will debit, and the 2 lakh rupees cover is there. Second policy which the government of India announces, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Suraksha Yojana. That's again 2 lakh rupees cover. If anything happens due to accident, it's only 1 rupee per month, only 12 rupees a year. So in 350 rupees, an individual is having a cover of 4 lakhs, which is, I think, sufficient when it comes to lower middle class people, and quite affordable. Although I think combined policies sold by an insurance company in that area is roughly around 155 million policies are already sold. But you know the population of India. I think everybody should take that policy. So if I'm saying 40 crore household, at least 40 crore people should go and buy that policy. That's what is a vision. But coming to your question on particular segmentation, we have a lot of lifestyle policies as well. We have a focus group policies, like for the business category, we have something called Keyman Insurance. For professionals and housewives, we have a policies who's taking care of the needs of that particular segment. We come from a common man, and our mind always goes on the common man. So we had a dedicated insurance policies for the truck drivers. And I'm happy to share that in last 15 years, we may have covered close to around 10 lakhs, more than 10 lakhs truck drivers on insurance. Because this is one segment where no insurance company wants to touch this segment. But then we have designed a policy at a very affordable rate. Just to give a perspective, a truck driver gets a cover of around 5 to 8 lakh rupees by paying a premium of around 5,000 rupees in a year, 5 to 6,000. And if nothing happens to him, he will get his money back at the end of 10 years, whatever premium he has paid. Another group which we tried using technology to the core. Long back, there used to be a company called Telenor, which was a telecom provider company in India. So we had a tie-up with them, and this product is very, very popular in South Africa, where our partners are there. Just by clicking a button, an insurance cover was available for the people, and the cover was, you recharge, because if you know, the Telenor was in the only prepaid segment. So from 5,000 to 50,000 cover was there for a particular period. Again you recharge, your plan will again be valid. And this premium was paid at that time by Telenor. So a lot of other insurance companies have tried this, but then what happened, large number of people get covered. We also had covered close to 2 crore people at that time, but the premium was very small. But then it was completely technology driven selling, focused on a target segment, and we have settled I think good amount of claims as well. So in India, as I said, there is a variety of customers are there. There are customers who are looking for a 10 crore insurance also, but a large number of customers are looking for maybe 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh or 2 lakh insurance policies.
Right, sir. So I would like to shift little focus from what we have been talking about the insurance sector. Coming back to your organization as such. Like most of the employees are working from home and working in virtual teams. This is something which is all of our interest and what we are thickly into day in day out. Now this pandemic has brought this tremendous change in human resource planning and operating to ensure employee well-being. How do we enable their performances so that as you rightly said, it's a digital world where they have to physically also have to go. And how do we upskill employees? for performing well in these unprecedented times as well as being future ready. They have to be future ready because we don't know how long this will continue. What is your take on this, sir? About the current situation?
Yeah. I think it's a very, very valid question. And most of the companies, as I said, a lot of preparedness. Although if you see, compare insurance industry versus banks are far ahead on the technology compared to an insurance company. But having said that, in last 5 years, a lot of work has gone. I can just say that we represent a company which work with the common man, but then we have developed a certain apps which is there with our agent on his smartphone, and through that app he can finish the complete sales process. Even his training we are doing on that smartphone. He's talking to the customer on a smartphone. If required, he's going and meeting the customer. All our employees from that angle are fully equipped. But as I said, insurance industry, we may be having close to around maybe around 3 lakh employees, maybe around 10 lakhs agent. 90% of that are responsible for business development. And as I said in the beginning, even they're all tech savvy, but then each customer expect that my agent, my sales guy should come and meet me, not virtually, one-to-one. So while they are fully geared up with the technology, but that one time that human interaction is there. Although net banking is there, the premium can be paid through debit card, credit card and all that. But that one-to-one interaction is still there, but our back office teams, people who are responsible for servicing the existing customers, people who are responsible for the policy generations, people who are responsible for underwritings, our actuarial team, our finance and accounts team, our sales support team, they're all working from remote. And that is completely seamless working. Our challenge is that how we can put the entire sales process also virtual. The technology is there. It is possible for a customer to solicit insurance even on WhatsApp call, but it will take little longer time. But it will surely happen, but the industry is ready. And most of the insurance companies are having those apps, technology enabled, where everything can be done online.
Yeah, very, very rightly said. Very interesting, sir. What measures you are taking? You are talking about various apps, but you also said that the customers would like to meet them physically, and for that they need to be trained. They need to be upskilled how to handle the customers. We do a lot of research, and we had been doing a lot of programs for organizations where they are asking us to design programs on how to work in virtual teams. How to in our situations, how to work, how do we enhance the productivity and things like that. Plus this COVID has put a lot of stress on employees, so how do they come out and they really actually look forward as a productive people. So very important. And to some extent what you're saying that physical interaction is important, and I believe in insurance sector, service quality and its impact on customers' behavior, intentions, and satisfaction is the new trend. And how are they showing? Right now is that there are a lot of innovations which are going place. So, what I would like to ask you about, what are the innovations? In terms of the payments part, in terms of servicing the client, taking care of the claims and other things. It's because it's all virtual. How are you coping with these things? And how are the employees coping with these things? Are they trained enough?
As I said, that we have a very forward-looking regulator, and the preparedness for the digital transformation has started 4 or 5 years back. So most of the companies are having all these tools available, which at the need of the customer, the intermediaries are using it. And when it comes to equipping the people, I can just give my own example. Before COVID, I was traveling at least for 10 days, 10 to 15 days in a month. Because somewhere there was a mental block I was having that unless I will not go and meet and talk to the people one to one, that influence and that impact will not be there. But from last 6 months, we are all on the Zoom call or Cisco call or Google call, and we are conducting the meetings, and the impact is almost same. So everybody is changing, including me. Like even I don't see that for next 3 months also I will travel, because the Zoom call is very, very effective. Earlier, we used to plan meetings at least 1.5 months in advance. Even sometimes we used to plan a large meeting and large gathering at least 3 months in advance. You have to check the availability of the hotels, the venue, availability of the people, offsite meeting. Now it has become so handy that now I'll decide that, look, in the evening I want to talk to all my people who reports to me, and we can all get connected. There are a lot of technology or telecommunication facilities are there because we run a large team. All our regional managers are equipped that in just one dial, they can connect to 100, 200 people in one go. The masses can go on a real-time basis to our people. Rather than last 6 months, the kind of even audio calls, even I have done an audio call with 2,000 people in one go. I had never addressed such a large gathering physically because 2,000 people in one go is really difficult. But on audio calls, 2,000 people seamlessly, we could connect to the last miles. I think political parties used to do this. I think nowadays, this because of COVID, the insurance industry, how to connect real time with our agents, with the sales officers, how we can tell them that we are really concerned on their well-being. So I think in last 6 months, I may have done close to around 12 web calls just to talk to the team, connect with the team, and it is happening at various stages. So as you are right, COVID has given us a thinking, and the plus side of all this is close to around 5 to 7% of our overall expenses used to go in traveling and these meetings. And if you ask me what are the expenses in the last 6 months, virtually hardly people are traveling, hardly we are conducting any meetings. Even if some meetings are also happening, there's no party after that because nobody wants to do it. So COVID has really prepared each one of us from that angle. And most of our employees, not even our company, in the entire industry, especially the large back office teams, especially when they have to settle the claim, maturity claims or the death claims, and without meeting people, without doing physical investigations, that has posted some challenge. But then industry has very well accepted that, and we are working very, very seamlessly from that angle.
Very well said, sir. Very interesting. And what you said is, and building on that, what you said is, the current economic scenario or situation is such that everybody's talking about creativity and innovation. We are innovating in every which way or the other. Like who would have thought, that people in rural areas would be taking online classes and so forth. So what are the innovative strategies to catalyze growth as far as the Indian insurance sector is going on? I mean, as far as your company is concerned, because as you said, it has been happening since 5 years, and the COVID has nothing but accelerated the innovation and digital technologies which are coming in pictures.
I think one big innovation which is there, and I think people will see soon, the product innovation. Generally, people say that life insurance is a very, very complicated subject. People don't understand. So a lot of work is happening currently that how we can just simplify the product. Give a simple product to the customer, easy to understand. So a lot of work is happening, and I think this COVID has, accelerated that and put little more pressure on the regulator and on the industry that how we can go to the customer. A lot of customers want to buy insurance, but then they are not sure which product to buy. If there's a simple product is available, then the sale can happen. And I think you can see next 3 to 6 months, a lot of innovative products will be there, launched by various insurance company. Even the today newspaper is carrying that from 1st January, all insurance company has to launch Saral Bima Yojana. It is nothing, a very simple product, same pricing. Customer can go to any insurance company and can buy. He will end up in paying eventually the same premium and same product. So all that is there, and I think thanks to COVID, that COVID has also given a lot of thinking to each one of us, that how we can cut the processing cost, how we can bring efficiency in our processes, because all the saving in some way or other will go to the customer only, either in terms of the reduced pricing on the premium or a better bonuses or a better return to the customer. Because at the end of the day, what is insurance? Insurance, we are the aggregator or we are the trustee of the premium paid by the customers. We are only managing their fund on their behalf and pooling the risk together and giving back to the society after taking care of our expenses and all that. So COVID has given really a big room for all of us to think differently and see how innovatively or how we can bring more efficiency, more lean organization, and to service customer seamlessly, with the help of technology.
Very interesting, sir. And one question which comes to my mind, we're talking about that the expenses have gone down. It is more of a remote working. People are working from their homes, and not much expenses the company is looking at. Now, what will it impact to? The premiums will go up or premiums will go down in that case? If there's a lot of synergy in terms of cost efficiency, sir.
Yeah. I can just tell you, to see in the global perspective, the premium in India is the cheapest. The premium rate which Indian life insurance companies are charging are cheapest. So there is nothing called the premium will go down or premium will go up. At the end of the day, if an X company is charging little higher premium, the maturity of that company will be more, because the mortality rate is same across industry. Each company is using the same mortality table. Now, whatever this efficiency which is coming in the system, which will definitely in some way or other, it will go to the consumer. But as I said in the beginning, as high as 80% of the sale in India is coming through intermediary. Now, if they become more productive, and at the end of the day, if my intermediary who's selling 3 policies in a month, if he starts selling 5 policies in a month, then his earning will go, although his per unit earning will go down, and that benefit in some way or other will go to the customer. Because at the end of the day, the industry is not competitive, customer will definitely not come to a life insurance company. So all that efficiency, all that cost saving, whatever is there, definitely will go to the customer. But just to give one more data point, that there are 24 life insurance companies in India, and insurance is a very long gestation period. It takes 10 years for any life insurance company to reach break even, because the biggest cost, as I said in the beginning, is a distribution cost. And unfortunately in India, we have to pay everything upfront. Where the policy continues for 10 years, but all the expenses I have to book in the first year itself. So if efficiency improves, if my agent productivity go up, my branch productivity go up, definitely the cost will come down. And that can only happen if lot of awareness. I think industry is also doing a lot of work, regulator is also doing a lot of work, government is also helping, because currently if agent meets, he end up in selling only 1 policy. I'm looking at day, I don't know whether I'll see in my lifetime, that my agent meets 10 customers and he end up in selling to all 10. And that can only happen. Yeah, because even our economy is we are still in the debts. So once the economy grows, the disposable income goes up, then obviously the affordability will go up. And as I said, India requires at least 10 large size life insurance companies like LIC of India. That potential is there, and insurance, as I said, that 40 lakh crore, that's the AUM which is there, and almost 80% of that is invested in various government projects. Because the long-term money only comes through insurance. So that's, I call it nation building by insurance industry.
It has been a very interesting discussion with you, and there are so many things which we would like to know from you. Seeing the paucity of time, I'll just take one question from the audience which I have is, the question which they are asking is, how life insurance are looking at 2020 and future of insurance in the industry in next 3 years, because nobody knows how things will turn up, when the vaccine will be out, and how COVID will subside and things like that. So how do you see the insurance sector in 3 years?
See, as I said, this is a sunrising industry from last 10 years. This is growing by around 10%. And as I said, there was a temporary pause for 3 or 4 months. We are almost back to normal. Most of the insurance companies are working the way they used to work in past. Although we are down by around 5% life insurance, but health insurance is up by 25%. General insurance is up by 5%. So if you see, overall industry is back to the normal. Now next 3 years, even next 6 months, I think we will be back on track. And if everything goes the way things are moving, the industry will show a growth of at least around 5% this year. And next 3 years, we will be growing at a pace of around 10 to 15%. That will happen because, as I said, the potential is huge. We have not even tapped one-tenth of the potential. So that's there.
Right. To sum up, as you said that there's a the penetration is very low. If I sum up, it's only 2%, and there's a lot of potential to grow. And the rate at which the industry is growing in the next 3 years, we are almost back to normal, and we will only see the upside from it. Yeah. And things will get better and better, and we hope that the vaccine is out as fast as possible, and things are better. Very, very interesting thoughts, sir. About the growth as such, about the future of the insurance sector, how you're taking care of your customers, how you're servicing your customers, the sales part. Very, very interesting discussion we had, sir. Before we end our session, so one last thought from yourself, sir. What would you like to tell our viewers?
I can just tell to all the viewers, because most of you are young, I think you should buy one insurance policy when you are young. Because if you're buying insurance policy when you are 25 or 24, you end up in paying a very less premium. Because once you reach at the age of 40 or 45 or 50, you will end up in paying at least 3 times more premium what otherwise you paid when you bought policy at the young age. And each of your students, if they can take a oath, or they can take a one sort of for them, that they will go and tell 5 people the benefit of insurance. Because insurance is always sold through word of mouth. So if each one of you decide to tell to 5 people why life insurance is important, I think this journey which has started can go to many-fold. And India requires lot of long-term capital. You look any project, any infrastructure project, it requires minimum 10 years to 15 years to 20 years. And those funds can only come from life insurance. So spreading the word of insurance, that's what, and you yourself should buy at least one life insurance policy. Take a protection plan or take a saving plan. It's up to you, but you must take it. That's important.
So the earlier the better. That's what
earlier the better.
You say.
Yes.
If you're young. Yes. Thank you very much for this fantastic. Yeah. Yes.
Institution like you, if you can make it mandatory to all your students that you will be enrolled in MIT if you just show your life insurance policy. From wherever they want to take, that's not a issue. But they should have a decent cover. I'm not saying they should have a life insurance cover of crores, but they should have some decent life insurance cover, and they should show that policy.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure they must have heard you and have seen a lot of value and understood. There's a lot of questions they must be having in their mind, and they are absolutely clear about the thing. Thank you very much, sir. It has been a fantastic discussion, and I wish it could have continued for more. Bill Marve more is I mean, it has been such lovely insights, and would like to know more. But the positive times. So thank you very much for giving your time. And we all have really enriched ourselves with various facets of life insurance, and in fact, known a lot of facts which people may not be aware of. And coming from you, being a veteran is something which is very, very important for us. Thank you very much, sir, for all the insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody. Thank you MIT for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I thank everybody who had been behind this conversation so far. Thank you very much.